114-109 win over the Golden State Warriors. Now 7 of the last 8 times these two teams have played, the Pacers have come away victorious. I am Jeremiah Johnson, he's Eddie Gill. Hard-fought win. They've been in this situation before where they were down around 10 points, 5 or 6 minutes to play. They were just there in Dallas on Wednesday. What allowed them to close this one out?
Listen, you got to feel so good about this type of win when you're able to come back after being down double digits. It's not looking good, but in that middle of the fourth quarter, they start to rebound the basketball. Quentin Jackson makes big-time plays on both ends of the floor. And Siakam, Nesmith, those two guys carried the offensive load throughout the entire game. But there were a lot of healthy contributions throughout the lineup. Thought it was a great performance by Isaiah Jackson. He gets the 2 fouls early, but he's also able to come back and play solid basketball. But a great team effort here tonight. One
of those nights where really any of 3 players deserving of the walk-off interview. We talked with Pascal Siakam, but Quentin Jackson, meanwhile, right beside me, was talking with Pat Boylan on the radio interview. That is piped in inside the stands. And how about his night?
Listen, this performance warms my heart because Quentin Jackson is a guy who's been waiting, biding his time up and down from the G League. He got some run early in last season. He did well. Then it goes back into kind of a holding pattern. And again here this season, he has an injury, but prepared himself, stays ready. I talked about his confidence that he plays with on a nightly basis here, but just 25 and 10, 3 steals, and oh, by the way, 0 turnovers. Just an outstanding game here by Quentin Jackson.
On a 2-way contract in the starting lineup this weekend and in a starring role against still Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. Curry led Golden State in scoring, but emphasize what that means for a player like Quentin Jackson.
Well, listen, didn't even mention that part of it. He's chasing an all-time great top 5 or 10, whatever it calls, name it, whatever you want to call it. He's chasing Steph Curry around on the defensive end of the floor, picking him up full court. So there's something to be said about that as well, just the mental fortitude and conditioning that's required.
It was one of those games, second half of the back-to-back, you would need everyone. But that starting 5 got off to a good start, and then really they were the closing group. Are we seeing a little bit of chemistry with those 5 players?
Yeah, you may have found something. It's essentially in the interim while Nembhard continues to get prepared.
From Pascal Siakam, he referenced the difference between this year and last year. He said, we're going to get back there. They have that fighting mentality, and that's what you saw in the fourth quarter of this one. Let's go back and look at the highlights here. This is really an entertaining game that went back and forth throughout. Golden State was coming off a loss in Milwaukee, so they were not exactly happy about how they were playing. Aaron Nesmith was happy about the way he was shooting throughout the night.
Yeah, he was able to come into this game and get it going early, and also I thought the Pacers were very intentional about trying to get him the basketball in places where he could be effective to free him up on that 3-point line.
18 first-half points for Steph Curry. That time Tony Bradley fouled him, 4-point play. First minutes for Johnny Furphy since opening night, coming off the injury, made his presence felt. 3-pointer there, and then still more. Aaron Nesmith threes. Chris and Quinn mentioned that game in Madison Square Garden. Not quite the same level of importance, but he had that same look in his eye.
Well, there's no question about it. Very assertive in terms of his shot selection. And there's one of those steals by Quentin Jackson. Just love the way he was able to harass the basketball all night long.
Another thing Jim Boylan wanted was faster pace. When they did get some of those steals, they were able to get out in transition and get some easy opportunities. Jimmy Butler, so good, so crafty, getting to the free throw line. 88-82, rough sequence to win the third quarter. Not a great start to the fourth quarter, so all of a sudden Pacers find themselves down by 11 and really in a danger zone situation.
Yeah, they were in trouble. Jimmy Butler was looking like he was going to have one of those closes to the game where he's able to put his team on his back. He did a lot of great things, but Quentin Jackson, Pascal Siakam, Nesmith, these guys consistent throughout the entire night.
It was 103-102, or 103-92, Warriors over the Pacers. Indiana goes on a 9-0 run. Quentin Jackson had the crowd on its feet. He has one of those mentalities that just gets the crowd into the game. Now, Pacers up by 2. Jimmy Butler goes in. Basket and foul. He missed the free throw, so it's tied. Shot clock winding down. What about Siakam?
Well, listen, Siakam, again, big-time shot there, but go back to that missed free throw by Butler. And prior to that, Curry missed one.
That's true.
2 of the best in our game at closing out games. And that was a big-time play there. We'll touch on that a little bit more here in a moment. but an overall outstanding game, a great fight and grit in that fourth quarter by the Pacers.
You had missed fourth quarter free throws from Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. You do not see that every day. The Pacers, after struggling, giving up paint points last night, they have a 56-44 advantage. You could not underestimate how important that was in this game. And the bench points not as much because their starters did all the work. And tell me what you saw with the Pacers up 3 late.
Listen, I saw high IQ basketball first and foremost by Quentin Jackson. This right here, he blows the tire. He blows the tire here, and they think they can trap Siakam because he's down on the floor. But we think about the speed of the game. You think he's going to take the shot, but this is high IQ basketball. There's only a 3 or 4 second differential between game clock and shot clock. The Pacers are up 3 at this time, so you don't have to take that there. He does a great job. Great little misdirection here by Siakam. He puts Draymond Green, one of the best defenders, on his hip. Little fadeaway here. 2-point basket, good. And this is all but over here. Now the Pacers have a 5-point advantage. 4.8 seconds on the clock remaining there. They run a shot for Steph Curry, or excuse me, run a play for Steph Curry to get a shot in that far side corner. He misses. Ball game. But I really go back to him not taking that first shot attempt, because even if he misses that 2-point attempt, more clock has been run out, and they still have to pull a rabbit out of the hat to tie the game.
They did have a timeout, so if they got the rebound, they could have gotten a good look. Were you surprised they didn't choose to foul?
And not so much. That's kind of 50-50 for me, whether a team looks to foul there or not. Sometimes you just guard it, and again, you have your defensive player of the year candidate seemingly each and every year. There, you live with the results at that point.
I would not have liked a timeout and then the Warriors down by 3 with a chance to diagram something for Steph Curry. It didn't come to that because Quentin Jackson hit that shot and Pascal Siakam gave them the lead.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really big shot there, but it was all predicated on intentional movement into the paint, ball movement, and he's able to knock down a big one at the top of the key.
Post-game comments now from Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle.
First off, just what's it mean just to see these guys get a win, considering what they've had to go through so far?
Yeah, it's a fight. You know, it's difficult circumstances, but we showed the kind of toughness, resilience that has been our calling card, you know, for really the last couple of years. And you can't say enough about Quentin Jackson, Aaron Nesmith. You know, Pascal Siakam is getting so much attention on a nightly basis. But tonight, the ball moved way better, and we played more up to our capabilities defensively. And these 2 games with Curry tonight and then Giannis on Monday night, this is as hard as it gets, you know, with this caliber of great players. I mean, these guys are top all-time great players, and they put you in a lot of binds. So, you know, hats off to those guys. A lot of guys played. We needed a lot of contributions from a lot of guys, and so, you know, it feels good to win one.
I guess let's start and dive into Quentin. I guess 25 points, 10 assists, no turnovers, and also played really good defense on staff. I mean, just what did you like about the way he ran the offense, and just what impressed you about what he did on both ends, especially in the fourth quarter?
He's an attacker, and he's got to be in attack mode. You know, he's a hybrid guard. Really, he plays point, he plays 2. But it's important that he is who he is in his soul, and that is an attacker. And so he attacked tonight. He had a tough job chasing Curry around all night. You know, we matched their minutes pretty much. We actually had to go back with Q before Curry came back in because, you know, Ray J got a little tired, and it was just time to get him back in. And then, you know, I think it was 2 threes, and then the bank shot, you know, that sealed the game was. I mean, it had to be a great feeling for him.
You mentioned Aaron before. Obviously, after a tough shooting night a couple nights ago, he goes for 31 tonight. I mean, just what's it been like to see him work through it and find it the way he did tonight?
Shooters shoot, and they keep shooting, and they all have all the great ones have short memories, and he's a great shooter, and so it's got to be a process thing. Something that happened before don't matter. It's what happened. It's what's happening right now and what's going to happen next. And having the attitude and the ability to understand that is really what it's all about. So He was phenomenal in this game, and it wasn't just the shooting. He was giving us a lot at the rim. He made one or two difficult mid-range shots, got to the free throw line. So, look, this is a guy that is really stepping up into a very much enhanced role, in terms of carrying a load and doing it the right way, with integrity.
And last, when you mentioned Pascal, I mean, just obviously he's had to deal with so much defensive attention. He's had to take on just obviously he always had a big offensive role, but even more. I mean, just for him to hit the shot that he hit with all the attention he was getting and just what he was able to do for you all night, how important does he continue to be?
Yeah, I mean, Pascal Siakam is a great player. He's a very special player. He's very underrated. Right now, it's almost impossible to get him off the floor. He's so important to us. But when he was off tonight, we did a really good job of holding the fort. But the challenge is, we need everything he gives us all the time on the floor. But we can't play him into oblivion. The season's too long, and this is too congested of a stretch of games.
What did you like?
To that point, Pascal Siakam got to rest fourth quarter last night. That maybe paid off tonight.
Yeah, very helpful because he's exactly right. He carries the load in so many different ways, not just scoring, but also just managing double and triple teams and finding his open teammates, rebounding the basketball at a super high level, but also just being an all-out leader, leading by example, picking up full court. He picks up an offensive foul on Draymond Green in this game as well. So he's just invaluable with all the different things that he can do.
38 minutes for Pascal Siakam. Got about a 90-second break in that fourth quarter. Came on and
There's something brewing inside Chase Center tonight. The air feels heavy. The Golden State Warriors just dropped another frustrating game, this time to the Indiana Pacers, a team missing several starters, a team they should have buried early and never looked back. Yet the Dubs let it slip. Final score, 114-109. Another lesson, another reminder that experience alone doesn't win games. Execution does. But make no mistake, Dub Nation, this story isn't about panic. It's about purpose. It's about accountability. Because even when Steve Kerr didn't say a single word after the loss, his silence echoed louder than any halftime speech. Sometimes the quiet moments in sports say everything you need to hear. Steve Kerr didn't storm out. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even lecture his guys. He just looked at the room, the veterans, the young guns, the staff, and said nothing. His only message to the media? There was no message. Now's not the time to say anything to the team. We got to pack up, fly home, and regroup. And that right there is the reset button. Because this is what championship DNA looks like. Even in frustration, there's reflection. Even in defeat, there's awareness. The Warriors have been here before. Remember, this team has seen every type of adversity the league can throw at them. Injuries, roster changes, fatigue, the world doubting them, and still, they've always found a way to respond. That's what this new moment feels like, a pause before the storm. Curry had an off night, no question. The man dropped 24 points, but it took him 23 shots to get there. Only 25% from deep on 16 attempts. He was human, and it showed. But that's what happens when the system starts to lose its rhythm. The Warriors' offense has always been a masterpiece of motion, cutting, spacing, anticipation. But when fatigue hits, the masterpiece turns into chaos. Steve Kerr even called it out after the loss to the Milwaukee Bucks a few days earlier. It looked like mental and physical fatigue, he said. It just didn't feel like us out there. And he was right. This stretch, 2 emotional road losses, both to younger, fresher teams, is exposing the cost of a veteran roster fighting through the grind of an early season road trip. But the difference between a good team and a great one is how they respond to that realization. Jonathan Kuminga struggled tonight. He was out of sync, a -20 on the floor. But if you've watched this team long enough, you know that adversity for Kuminga always turns into motivation. Just last week, he was one of the brightest stories in the entire league, the young forward finally stepping into his role as a two-way weapon, guarding stars like Ja Morant, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden. Now he's learning that being consistent in this system isn't easy. Steve Kerr has been hard on him in the past, but it's not out of frustration, it's out of belief, because Kerr sees what we all see. A 23-year-old freak athlete who can become one of the most dominant forwards in the NBA if he locks in mentally the way Draymond Green did years ago. And speaking of Draymond, his energy remains the heartbeat of this team. You can see it even in the losses. When the pace slows down and the defense starts slipping, he's the one barking orders, directing traffic, keeping the fight alive. That's why Kerr starts him at center. Not just for spacing or matchup reasons, but because when Draymond sets the tone, the Warriors rediscover their identity. Now let's talk about the bigger picture, because if you only look at the box score, you might think this team is falling apart. But that's surface-level analysis. Underneath, the foundation is still strong. Stephen Curry is still the most dangerous shooter alive. Jimmy Butler, yes, a newcomer but already a key veteran voice, is slowly becoming the emotional bridge between the old and the new. The young core, Kuminga, Moody, Brandon Podziemski, Quentin Post, are learning what real pressure feels like. This is the classroom. These are the lessons that shape future champions. Let's not forget what happened the last time the Warriors faced this kind of doubt. Back in 2021, everyone said the dynasty was over. The critics buried them. And 1 year later, they were holding the Larry O'Brien Trophy again. That's not a coincidence. That's culture. That's resilience. So what's really going on in that locker room tonight? Change. A shift in tone. Steve Kerr's silence wasn't about disappointment. It was about letting the players own the moment, letting them feel it, letting them process what it means to carry the weight of a dynasty that refuses to die. Gui Santos even said it best. Everybody's pissed off right now. We just lost a game we had. Nobody was saying too much. That's raw emotion. That's what accountability looks like. This isn't a team breaking apart. It's a team waking up. Because let's be honest, when the Warriors play at their peak, there isn't a team in the Western Conference that can match their IQ, ball movement, or spacing. Not Denver, not Phoenix, not even the Lakers. When Curry's gravity opens up lanes for Butler, when Draymond orchestrates the defense, and when Kuminga and Moody bring that young fire off the bench, the Warriors become something terrifying again. Now heading into their next matchup against the Phoenix Suns, this is where the season really begins. This is where the veterans remind everyone that championships aren't won in October. They're built in moments like this. Kerr's decision to stay silent isn't a sign of defeat. It's the calm before the response. You can see it in Curry's eyes when he walks off the floor. He's already thinking about adjustments. You can see it in Draymond's posture, frustration mixed with purpose. You can even feel it from the bench, from Moody, from Podziemski, from Santos, guys who know their time to step up is coming. And let's not ignore one crucial fact. This Warriors team is still 4-3, not 1-6. They've beaten Denver, they've taken down the Clippers, and they've gone toe-to-toe with the league's best without ever looking outclassed. They're not broken, they're refining. Every dynasty has to evolve. The Spurs did it, the Heat did it, and now the Warriors are doing it again in real time. The noise outside might say, they're too old, or the magic is gone. But inside that locker room, the message is different, even if it's unspoken. The message is, we've been here before. We know what it takes, and we're not done. When Steve Kerr doesn't talk, it's because he knows the response will come on the court. When Curry struggles, it's because he's setting up the next masterpiece. When Draymond gets frustrated, it's because his standard hasn't changed. When Jonathan Kuminga takes a hit, it's because growth isn't supposed to be comfortable. This isn't the end of an era, it's the reawakening of one. So Dub Nation, here's the truth. These moments, the frustration, the silence, the questioning, they're all part of the journey back to greatness. The team still has its leaders, its culture, and its belief. And if history tells us anything, it's that the Warriors don't stay quiet for long. Because when the silence breaks, it usually comes with a roar. So let's hear it from you. What do you think, Dub Nation? Is Steve Kerr's silence a sign of worry or a message of trust? Do you believe this team still has another championship run left in them? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're still believing in this dynasty, and don't forget to subscribe to Warriors Nation News, where the heart of Dub Nation beats louder every day.